Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection. We are delighted that you're here today for today's evidence-based defensive lesson. I am ASP President John Correa.
And I am Stephanie Widener, ASP's CEO. Welcome to Saturday's lesson.
Today's sponsor is Bond, a personal security platform and a very useful tool between everything is fine and calling 911. It's the I'm uncomfortable button that gives you and your loved ones instant on security agents so you're never alone. Bond agents engage and deter perps who want no witnesses. They have a 100% track record deterring crimes of opportunity because it's like installing a can of OC spray on your phone. It's for when you can't carry tools and for your loved ones who won't. Check out Bond's special ASP discount at the link below. This one's out of Philadelphia. You can see the car that's double parked here, and the guy's gotten out of it. You see the red Soul? That's some carjackers, and they see what's going on here with this double parked car, that his wife is in the car still, that he's double parked at 11 o'clock at night. And so they come back around the block, and the driver's gonna get out with a gun in his hand. Lady's just sitting in the car, I think screwing around on her phone, and guy just comes up with a gun. Now, you can see it's pixelated out to protect your identity. Philly PD did that, I didn't do that. And so he's gonna tell her to get the heck out of the car when she's gonna go, okay man, you can have the car. He's gonna signal another guy in the Kia there, and that guy is gonna come up and start taking over this vehicle. She's gonna get out of the car, which is good. Now he shows up and goes towards the passenger side to try to, I think, get the guy out of his car. Well, it's not gonna work, so he starts throwing insults at him, which makes this guy come over, and I'm not kidding, friends, shoot him dead. They shot him, and one time they found one shell casing at the scene, and then these guys didn't even steal his car. You saw the guy, they couldn't, I think, get it started, and so, or if it was started, they couldn't get it in gear. I don't know if it was a manual or whatever, and so our carjackers are just gonna jump in their car and leave. Cops have not caught this guy. The man died at the scene, friends. And we get to think about what the heck we do with information like this. Hey friends, if you haven't watched any of Stephanie Widener's full-length classes in the ASP Unlimited app, I think you're missing out. You know, Steph, when we talk about the rules of stupid, we don't go stupid places with stupid people at stupid times and do stupid things. And we say you can break one and probably get away with it, but you start breaking two or more and bad things tend to happen. And here we have a late night, it's after 11 p.m. We're in a transitional space, which is definitionally a stupid space. And therefore the problems come up, and this is one of those instances where literally the ability to parallel park might have saved this man's life.
Yeah, and sometimes we can avoid having to do some of those things, like going a stupid place at a stupid time. However, if you get kind of forced into some of these situations, you at least need to be paying attention. You need to up your vigilance that much more. You need to engage much more attention and curiosity to give yourself as many options, as much time as you can possibly get to defend yourself. And the more rules of stupid that you break, the more engaged with your surroundings you really need to be.
Also, I don't know what this man who died, what his level of skills are, but he left a lady out there on the street while he went inside for whatever the heck it was. I think that was a mistake because clearly she's not a defender. She's not paying attention to her world. Her door's not locked, her window's not up. So she's oblivious. In those cases, send them inside. Send that person who's not a defender inside. You stay with the vehicle if you have to. Maybe circle the block a time or two while you're waiting for them. And I get it, some people double park in big cities like this because of the parking situation. But literally here, they could have gotten into that spot if they had good parallel parking ability, but they didn't have good parallel parking ability. So again, now the guy shows up and there's no defensive stuff here. If she's armed, can she protect herself from this guy? Absolutely. If she's a self-defender with her door locked and her window up and the guy comes out and she sees him in the side view mirror with a gun, she has every right to protect herself. But just because you have the right to do something, this is why we say, Steph, you have to have that ability. And I say that specifically to women all the time because you say, well, that's my husband's job. Well, but when he goes inside, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and even if you have the gun and the ability to do all of that, keeping your options open and just being engaged. For example, it would be nice if she'd seen this car checking them out the first time and could have potentially called on the cell phone and said, hey, I'm driving down the block. I'll be back to pick you up when you come out. Let me know. Or when they pulled up behind her and started to get out, even before you go to gun, you could drive off here and just let your spouse or your boyfriend or whatever know, I'll pick you up, but something's going on out here. I'm not going to sit here and wait. But if you're not used to thinking that way, then this is probably not going to be the best time to start and practice it. So if you're the one in your group, in your family, in your couple that is the defender, take on the more dangerous roles where it requires this type of thought.
I really think, I want to reiterate what you said, Steph, that, listen, the accelerator would have been a very good answer here. That when you see him pull up behind you, I just saw that car, they pulled back around the block and he gets out, I'm gone. I'm literally in drive and off down the road. And that escape strategy that just says, clearly something's off here. I don't know what that guy's problem is, and I don't care what his problem is. I'm gone. Could have saved this man's life. And so thinking about those escape plans and having them in place and being ready to just go, I think is incredibly and critically important. Now, she gets to a place where she's like, okay, fine, you can take the car, and she's gone. I think that's a good choice. And then this guy comes back, and I think he can see right here that our attacker is armed with a gun. Now, do you have the right to stop someone from stealing your car? Yes, absolutely. Do you have the right to stop somebody from stealing your stuff? Of course you do. But you got to count the cost here, because what's important inside there is not the stuff. It's not even the car. I mean, a car, that's a relatively newer car. It should have full coverage insurance. And what's important is the people. She got out, run like heck.
Especially since there's several people here, and you know, she's kind of still just standing there. So there's this element of danger that if we could just collect her and get out of there, we're much better off. And just to expand on your point, like you said, of course we have the right to stop someone from taking our stuff. I would never argue against that. You could even use force here to stop that, because he's got a gun out and you don't know what's going on. That said, you are risking so much engaging in that that we really want to avoid it unless we're absolutely pressed. Now, if you still had a loved one in there, no question, you do what you need to do to protect your loved one. But at this point, everyone is clear of this vehicle, and right now we're just protecting a vehicle, and we have put all of our chips into the center of the table, and we are, you know, betting that we're going to come out of this okay. And as we saw in this encounter, he doesn't. He loses that bet.
And of course, I think when he sees what's going on here and starts going out there, she's still inside the car. She's still at risk. Would I go out there to confront carjackers, armed carjackers with my wife in the car? Unequivocally, every day, yes. A great reason to be armed all the time, friends, because I don't want to face armed carjackers unarmed myself. I see an armed carjacker around my wife, I'm armed. It's on, buddy, and I will gunfight you to the death for my wife's life, okay? And could you use deadly force here? Yeah, guy's got a gun, stealing my car, threatening me with it. Sure, absolutely, no problem. But remember, you cannot be in a gunfight if you're not armed. You can only be in a shooting. And this is exactly what happened here, is that this guy's then going to decide, no, I want to stop you. Well, he doesn't think about what was this guy willing to do. He's not just willing to threaten with the gun, he's actually willing to use it. So again, somebody threatens you with a gun, assume it's real. Assume it's loaded, and assume that he's willing to use it, because assuming that he's not is a literally fatal error here. And of course, if this man could go back and do it over, would he do it differently? Yes. Because for a $500 or $1,000 deductible on insurance, he literally died today, Steph.
Well, and even if he had been armed and had been able to go out and win this gunfight and protect his car, the costs there still are quite high for, I mean, I sometimes even just imagine what the cost for getting the blood and whatever else you might need to clean out of your car, the lost time to deal with everything. It's just, even under the best circumstances, it's still a lot to deal with. And unfortunately, he got the worst circumstances here. And I don't know where his injuries were or what could have happened, but we also notice at the end here, kind of lays in the street alone for a while. You know, if they'd had some type of medical equipment or something that she could then go to help him, you know, that would be great too. And I don't know if there was even an opportunity to do that, depending on where he was shot. But it's just such a sad case all around over a car that they ended up not even stealing.
And I don't want to blame him too much. This is a tragic event, right? We want to learn from it, though. My heart breaks watching stuff like this, because it could have been avoided about 5 different ways. And then even in the midst of it, had he had attitude, skills, and plan, he might have been able to prevail, might have been able to survive this. But because we had this cascade of errors, he ends up dying. And of course, we got to practice spiritual fitness, friends. You know, every single day, you got to live a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent life so that you know that your life has been well lived. Your loved ones know that you love them. You've solved every conflict you can. And you and Jesus have a strong relationship every day, because you may not get an opportunity to make that right, any of that right, like this guy didn't, and you want to have that. Now, that said, none of this was his fault. It's all the fault of these dirtbag carjackers. And I hope they find these guys, and I hope that they bury them under the jail. But you know what, Steph? There's no justice after the fact. There's retribution after the fact, but only stopping this in the moment would have been justice.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get his life back. We can't change the circumstances for her moving forward. To anyone else that had to witness this and be part of the cleanup, I mean, this has happened. So like you say, the best we can hope for is some sort of retribution or penalty, and we're not even sure that we'll get that. So friends, really think this sort of thing through. This is a scenario we see people engaging in all the time, is this sort of fighting over goods and cars and things like that, and feeling like it's a really good idea. Really take time to understand the cost and what you are betting when you engage in that, so that you can make the best decision to cover your asp.